Have you ever sat in a doctor's office and wondered, when they recommend a treatment, how do they actually decide? It's such a huge moment, right? But what's really going on in their head? It can feel like a total black box. Well, today, we're going to pry that box open.
So what's guiding them? Is it just tradition? This is how we've always done it? Or maybe a gut feeling from seeing thousands of patients? Or is there something more scientific behind it all? Turns out the answer is, well, it's complicated.
Okay, I want you to look at this number. Just this number. 80%. Let that sit with you for a second. Yeah, 80%. Some research suggests that a huge chunk, as much as 80% of common medical practices, aren't actually backed up by the best, most current science. That's kind of scary, right? And that's exactly the problem that a really important idea called evidence-based medicine, or EBM, was designed to fix.
Okay, so how do we fix that? How do we get all that amazing new research from the lab into your doctor's office? Well, the solution is this really smart framework, and it's built on 3 key pillars.
What EBM is all about, really, is just making better, smarter decisions. It's not just about blindly following the latest study. No, it's more like a balancing act. You've got 3 really important things: the absolute best scientific evidence available, the doctor's own professional experience, and, this is the crucial part, what you, the patient, actually value and want.
The best way to picture it is like a 3-legged stool. Seriously. One leg is the hard science, the data. The second leg is the doctor's expertise, their clinical know-how. And that third leg, that's you, your preferences, your values. And just like a stool, if you take away any one of those legs, the whole thing collapses. The magic, the best possible care, happens right in the middle where those 3 things.
Okay, that sounds great, right? But how does a doctor who's seeing patients all day actually do this? Well, EBM isn't just some vague idea. It's a real step-by-step process. Let's walk through it.
They call it the 5 A's. It's pretty simple. First, you ask a really specific question. Not, how do I treat high blood pressure, but for this patient right here, what's the best move? Then you go out and acquire the evidence, find the studies. But, and this is a big but, you have to appraise it. Is it good research? Is it biased? Once you've got solid evidence, you apply it. You actually use it in your decision-making. And finally, you assess how it went. Did it work? And that last step feeds right back into the first one. It's this constant cycle of getting better and better.
So that third step, appraise, it is absolutely crucial. Because let's be real, not all evidence is the same. You can find a study to prove almost anything online, right? There's a definite pecking order when it comes to scientific proof.
And that's where this thing called the evidence pyramid is so useful. Think of it like a pyramid. The stuff at the very top is the gold standard, the most trustworthy research you can find. As you go down, the evidence gets a little shakier, a little less certain. So a good doctor is always trying to climb as high up that pyramid as possible for answers.
And the difference between the top and the bottom, it's night and day. Up at the peak, you've got what are called meta-analyses. Basically, they take a whole bunch of top-tier studies and combine their results. It's the best of the best. And way down at the bottom, you have expert opinion. Now, don't get me wrong, a doctor's experience is super important. It's one of our 3 legs on the stool. But the whole point of EBM is that experience should be backed up by hard data, not the other way around.
Okay, but let's get real. EBM isn't perfect. It's not some magic wand that solves every problem. It's a system made by people, and it has some real-world flaws and blind spots we need to talk about.
For one thing, there's something called publication bias. Basically, studies that find exciting, positive results are way more likely to get published than studies that find, well, nothing. That can skew the whole picture. Then there's the time lag. It can take years for research to get published, and by then, it might already be out of date. Plus, sometimes you just can't do the best kind of study. It wouldn't be ethical, or it's for a super rare disease. And maybe the biggest critique is that sometimes, in the rush to find data, that third leg of the stool, the patient's voice, can get a little lost.
There's this great quote that just nails this problem. It asks if you could find any EBM purists willing to sign up for a study testing parachutes. Where one group gets a parachute and the other gets a placebo? Of course not. We don't need a fancy study to know the parachutes work. Some things are just obvious, and a good system has to have room for common sense.
So, what's next? Where is all this heading? Well, as technology gets crazier and crazier, the basic ideas of EBM are evolving into something way more powerful and personal.
The future is something called precision medicine. So instead of asking what works for the average person, we're starting to ask what will work for you. We're talking about treatments designed specifically for your DNA, your lifestyle, your environment. It's like EBM on steroids.
And this is where it gets into science fiction territory, but it's real. The idea of a digital twin. Imagine a perfect virtual model of you, all your health data, your genetics, everything, living inside a computer. Doctors could then run simulations, testing different drugs and treatments on your digital twin to see what works best, what causes side effects, all before you ever have to take a single dose. It's incredible.
So that leaves us with one last big question to think about. As AI and big data get better and better at giving us the right scientific answer, what happens to the art of medicine? Does that human touch, that doctor's intuition, just fade away? Or, in a world of data, does it somehow become even more important?